Hey friends, it is Lane with Tim's Nation. I am here today to talk to you a little bit about the Death Guard army that I'll be taking into DJ's World Eaters this week. Trying something different with the Death Guard this week. This week we're trying the Virulent Vectorium detachment, and we are bringing Mortarion just to see how he does now that he's all buffed up. So my list this week is kind of odd in that there are not very many hitting units, but they are big units, the ones I'm taking. You'll see when we go through the list here. Here we've got Morty. We've got his mini Morty, the Demon Prince with the 5-up Feel No Pain enhancement. We've got a 10-man brick of Blight Lords. We've got a 6-man brick of Death Shroud. And then just a few other things scattered around. It's mostly just big hitting units. So they better hit hard today, guys, because we're putting a lot of them on the table. And I don't have a lot of assets to lose here. They better hit hard when it is time to hit. Because if they whiff, they're going to get wrecked in return. So, yeah, Virulent Vectorium is the sticky objective detachment. So when we control an objective in our command phase, then it becomes sticky, so we still control it after we walk off of it. It also gives off the aura of the contagion or the affliction, as we're calling it now. So it gives off Nurgle's gift as well. Early game, that's not that big a deal, but later in the game, when it's a 9-inch aura off the sticky objective, that actually can put a lot of things into affliction. I gotta remember to say affliction because we can't say contagion anymore. It's gotta be affliction now. But there are definitely some stratagems and abilities that play off of the target, my attacks being in affliction. So that'll be good. But then we're getting a little bit extra affliction here from the objectives themselves. And of course, we've got Poxwalkers because they can infiltrate and sticky objectives. That won't really come up a whole lot. I don't think it'll be super important in this game because DJ is playing World Eaters. He's going to be pushing up the table as fast as he can. Even if I sticky objectives turn one, he's probably just going to get on them and destroy all his Poxwalkers really quick. But if he does that, he's going to be exposing some of his army, and we'll see how hard I can hit him in return. Yeah, that's it. We'll go through the list here and talk a little bit of how I plan to use them. Again, I'm not doing a full codex review, but we'll kind of go into a little more detail. I'll have the book with me here and go over the enhancements that we're using in more detail and the stratagems that I plan to use. And I'll talk about the data sheet some. So again, because I'm not doing a full codex review, we'll just kind of do a little bit of a detachment review here and go over these. I try to bring some different units from what I brought last week, so no Plague Marines this time. None of the... We all know that the fetid bloat drones with the blight launchers are really good. It's probably not that interesting to see them until we know what GW is going to do to them. They're probably going to get some kind of nerf, some kind of points increase. We'll see. But yeah, we'll try a few different things this week. So yeah, let's get into it. Here's the list. All right, here is 2,000 points. Well, excuse me, 1,995 points of Death Guard in the Virulent Vectorium detachment. Because we are playing Death Guard, you guys know what that means. It means we have 920 points of characters. You're not required to take 920 points of characters when you play Death Guard, but it just always works out like that. Maybe not quite that much if you're not taking Morty, but it's always a ton of character points. So we'll start with the big guy himself, Mortarion. So Mortarion, his base profile in terms of his characteristics didn't change much. He's toughness 12, 10-inch move, 2-up armor, 4-up embalm, 16 wounds, 5-up leadership. OC6 is kind of cool, so he can kind of hold objectives. But he does have a 5-up feel no pain as well, just making him a little more durable than most of your models this size, most of your demons. And Primarchs, that sort of thing. As far as ranged attacks, he does have the Lantern, which is 1 shot, strength 10, AP 3, 3 damage, which is hilariously sustained D3. So if you do happen to roll that 6 there, you get some extra shots on that. And then his psychic attack is Rot Wind, which is D6 plus 3 blast, strength 7, AP 2, just 1 damage. So it can kind of chew through chaff a little bit there, so he doesn't get bogged down too much in the chaff. Now, he shouldn't get bogged down in the chaff too much because his sweep attack got so much better. His strike is still good, 5 attacks, hits on 2, strength 14, AB 3, D6 plus 1 damage. Got devastating wounds and lethal hits. With only 5 attacks, though, and D6 plus 1 damage, it can be a little swingy. 5 attacks is not very many. But man, the sweep goes from 5 attacks to 15 attacks. Sustained 1 as well. And lethal hits, still hits on 2, strength 8, AP 2, 2 damage. And that is a monster profile, especially when he's going to be giving off contagion to whoever he's fighting. So he's reducing their toughness by 1, probably reducing their armor. So that AP2 will just cut through so much. And 2 damage. His sweep used to be 1 damage. So at 2 damage now, this guy can just pretty much pick up 10 Marines, or most of 10 Marines when he needs to. So yeah, that's his damage output. Now, his abilities... first of all, at the end of the movement phase, you roll 1d6 for each enemy within 6 inches of this model. Add 1 to the result if the enemy unit is afflicted. Well, by turn 2, he's giving off a 6-inch aura of affliction, so he should be putting everybody into affliction. So it says on a 3+, the enemy unit suffers D3 mortal wounds, but it's +1 if they're afflicted. So really, from turn 2 on, it's always going to be a 2-up that, you just do D3 mortal wounds to everybody within 6 inches. That's pretty strong if you've got an MSU army or you really can push them into your opponent's army. There's also a stratagem in this detachment to auto-explode a model, so you can automatically do deadly demise when they die and don't roll for it. If you push him into the middle of your opponent's army, and he does deadly demise for D6 damage, D6 mortals, so he can blow up and do a lot of mortals when he dies. So that combined with the mortals he does at the end of his movement phase just means that he can do a lot of damage both through that and through just exploding when he dies. Now, the other ability is Lord of the Death Guard. He has 3 abilities. Now, these are not auras like they are in most other Primarch type units. You basically choose one of these. Now, you can choose one once per turn, so you can use them in your turn or your opponent's turn, although they are more of an opponent's turn type of thing. But you can choose one of these to activate in each turn. So first one is Disease Influence. After an enemy unit ends a normal, advance, or fall back move within 9 inches of a friendly Death Guard unit. Again, it has to be within 6 inches of Morty. You can make a move of up to 5 inches with your Death Guard unit, as long as it's not already in engagement range. The next one, Inflamed Reprisal, and your opponent's shooting phase. When a friendly Death Guard unit within 6 inches of this model is selected as the target of attack, this model can use this ability. If it does, after the attacking unit has finished making its attacks, the Death Guard unit can shoot as if it were your shooting phase. But you can only hit the enemy unit that shot them. So you have a shoot back ability here for certain units. This can be good. And again, they have to be within 6 inches of Morty when he gets shot. Of course, you can always use this on Morty himself. So that can be useful there. And then the last one is the one that you probably would be able to use in your turn as well in the fight phase. So in the fight phase, and again, once per turn, so you can do this in your own fight phase and your opponent's fight phase. When a friendly Death Guard unit within 6 inches of this model is selected as the target of an attack, model can use this ability. If it does, until the end of the phase, each time a model in that Death Guard unit is destroyed by a melee attack, if that model has not fought yet, roll a d6 on a 2+, he gets to fight on death. A 2+ fight on death is pretty strong and helps you deal with some of the trickier things in the game, like a fight first. So you can charge into a fight first, and sure, they'll get to fight first, but if you fight on death on a 2-up, it's going to be more of a trade there and not just getting wrecked. And especially if you're doing it with some kind of Terminator unit that's pretty durable, you might not take a whole lot of damage, but still get to fight back with those models that do die. And again, because you use it once per turn, might as well use it on something. And of course, if Morty gets to fight when he dies, oh man, and then you do the deadly demise thing, you can just do so much damage on the way out. So we'll see how that plays today. But that is Mortarion. Excited to use him. This will be my first time playing him, so hopefully I don't forget any of his rules. First time playing him with a new codex. So moving on, we got a mini Morty. We've got a Demon Prince of Nurgle. So the Demon Prince of Nurgle, he is toughness 12 as well. Kind of hilarious. He's T12. He's got an 8-inch move because he's on foot. 2-up, 4-up save. So 2-up save, 4-up invuln, 10 wounds, and OC3. This guy, I love this model. This is an old resin Death Guard Demon Prince model. He's got the big old belly on him, all sorts of growths and things protruding from him. They're really disgusting. Again, all of my Death Guard are painted with contrast, and it really brings out all the gross little gribblies and bubbles and boils and sores and things on them. So, but I love this old school Demon Prince model. So, yeah, his abilities, he's got some very cool abilities. First of all, he's lone op if he's within 3 inches of Death Guard infantry. Got to be infantry, but he gets the lone op there. And then he gives all Death Guard units within 6 inches cover anytime they're attacked by range attacks. Kind of cool. Not going to matter a whole lot today because I'm playing against World Eaters. They're not here to shoot. They're here to punch. And then finally, the big one is the once per battle round. I can use his ability to reduce the cost of a stratagem by 1 CP, so making strats a little bit cheaper. You know, speaking of stratagems, guys, I'm doing something a little goofy today. I don't know if I've seen anybody do this before, but I am taking not 1, but 2 Tallimans. Now, here's one of my few proxies today. New detachment, new codex, trying some new things. So I do have an actual Tallyman, but I'm also using a Plague Surgeon here as a Tallyman. I'm taking 2 because the rule for the Tallyman, as far as generating CP, is that in your command phase, if this model is on the battlefield, roll 2d6. Now, 7 them up, you gain 1 CP. So I can do it with both of them. Obviously, I cannot get more than 1 CP, but this will make my CP generation a little more consistent. Hopefully, if one fails, the other one succeeds. Again, I know, guys, that I cannot generate 2 CP from this, but it'll make generating 1 a little more consistent. I had 45 points. Not quite enough points for another Poxwalker unit or anything. I probably could have taken another enhancement or something, but I thought this would be neat to try just to see if I can consistently generate extra CP. We've got some strong strats with this detachment. I want to make sure I'm able to use those. So between the Demon Prince and a couple of these Tallyman, we're going to be able to generate some CP. His other ability is that his unit can ignore ballistic skill or weapon skill characteristics or modifiers. They're not leading units today. They're just going to be out there solo. I don't think DJ is going to be deep striking anything, but for 40 points, they can block out deep strikers, maybe go do an action or here or there, but hopefully just generate some CP for me. Moving on. We've got 2, not 1, but 2 Lords of Contagion. Have you heard, guys? These Lords of Contagion are pretty good. I've got 2 different Lords of Contagion models. We've got the model that came in the Dark Imperium box set, and we got the Lord Felthius, who I believe is technically also a Lord of Contagion. That's a little picture on the GW app anyways, but these guys are both Lords of Contagion. Lords of Contagion are 110 points, but man, they are strong. So first of all, they're Terminators, so they're toughness 7, 6 wounds, can be really durable and stick around for a while. Slap really hard in combat. 5 attacks with their strike, strength 9, AP 2, 3 damage with lethal hits. Sweep is 10 attacks, 1 damage apiece. But their abilities, when they're leading a unit, they give their unit sustained and lance, which is really strong for either Blight Lords or Death Shroud. Giving both of those things is really good. And then their other role is when they die on a 2-up, they just stand back up with 3 wounds, which can be really useful if they're doing actions or something like that. But also, they slap pretty hard in combat, so when they pop back up, they can go in and try and do some more damage before they die a second time. So a couple of these guys. Now, one of these does have the enhancement Arch Contaminator. I will be putting the Arch Contaminator one with the Death Shroud. And this just lets his unit reroll all wound rolls, shooting or fighting, if they're on an objective that they control. So I'm going to try to get them onto an objective, control it. And that means they'll be re-rolling all wound rolls, which is really good, both with their Plague Spurt gauntlets, their shooters, their flamer pistols, and of course in combat with all their attacks. Getting the wound re-rolls is great. They don't really need hit rolls because they naturally hit on 2s in combat, so they'll be using that. All right, that's it for characters. We spent like 15 minutes on characters, guys. Moving on. I have a 10-man squad of Blight Lord Terminators. A couple things in here are not exactly WYSIWYG, because I built these Blight Lords a long time ago. I don't know if I've ever even played with them, really. The rules have been so bad for so long. But the rules got better. Their special rule got better. Their combat got better. And their strat support got better. So Blight Lords are Terminators, so they are T7. They are 3 wounds instead of the 4 wounds in the Death Shroud. But their special rule here is that when they shoot at a target that is afflicted, so on a target that's in contagion, when they shoot at that, they get +1 strength and +1 AP to their guns. So if we're taking an armor debuff, plus they get AP, plus I've also got a Predator in this list that can give them extra AP, they can start to do some damage with their shooting. Now, in this unit, I'm taking 6 guys with a power weapon. excuse me, 6 guys with the bubonic blade and the combi bolter. No, not the combi bolter. Which one? Sorry. Yeah, the combi bolter. Not taking the combi weapon. Not worried about the dev wounds. I just want more shots, hitting more consistently. So we're taking the combi bolter, which is 2 shots, but rapid fire 2, strength 4. It's got lethal hits. But again, we puff it up to strength 5. Your contagion reduces the toughness on a target, and then they get the extra AP and maybe extra AP from somewhere else. I'll actually start to do some work. Now, as far as the other models, I got 1 guy with an actual blight launcher and 1 with a plague splitter. I'm taking 2 blight launchers. So the blight launcher and the plague splitter will both be blight launchers. And then the 2 models I have here with the flails, I'm taking them as auto cannons. So I'm building this out as more of a shooting blight lord Terminator brick. So it's going to be 2 blight launchers and 2 auto cannons, no flails in there. The other guys will just be bolters and the bubonic blades. So the other buff they got was their bubonic blades. They lost 1 attack, but they gained 1 strength. So there are 4 attacks. Hit on 3, strength 5, AP 2, 2 damage. So basically mastercrafted power swords, the marine equivalent. But obviously we know with our armor reduction and our toughness reduction, these guys get a little bit stronger than they would be otherwise. I do have 1 Chaos Predator Destructor. The Chaos Predator Destructor changed a little bit. Its range attacks, first of all, it's got a combi bolter and a havoc launcher. Mine's taking 2 las cannons on the sponsons, and it's got the Predator auto cannon, which is 4 shots, but a rapid fire 2, and with a 48-inch range, it's pretty easy to get a rapid fire range. Strength 9, AP 1, flat 3 damage. 3 damage is really nice. Its ability is in the shooting phase. After he is shot, I pick 1 unit, excluding monsters and vehicles, that was hit by 1 or more attacks until the end of the phase. Each time a Death Guard unit attacks that, increase the AP of that attack by 1. And you can't affect 1 unit multiple times with this ability. But he's giving us the extra AP into something that he shot. This will be an interesting thing to play around today because of all the Blood Surge moves coming at me from the World Eaters. I want to make sure that I'm not shooting something with the Predator and then it moves into engagement range with my units I want to shoot it with. So we're going to have to be careful how we proc that. But yeah, it's a decent amount of, it's just a durable vehicle with decent amount of shooting, a good rule, giving me extra AP into a target. And it's only 145 points. So we'll take 1 of these today. Paint's not quite done on this, but he's got some paint. He looks a little bit gross. Moving on, we've got Chaos Spawn. If I had a few more points, I'd put in another squad of Chaos Spawn. The Death Guard spawn are a little different from the other spawns. It's kind of nice that all the spawn in the different books have a little bit different abilities. So the Chaos Death Guard spawn are a little tougher. DJ's ones in the World Eaters are T5. Mine are T7, so they have a higher toughness, which is very relevant, that break from 5 to 7. This means even stronger things like las cannons are wounding them on 3s instead of 2s. Just making it a little bit tougher. They do have 4 wounds apiece with a 4-up save, and they do have a 5-up feel no pain. Their ability is kind of hilarious. Each time a melee attack is allocated to a model in this unit, after the attacking unit is finished making its attacks, roll 1d6 to a maximum of 6d6 per attacking unit. For each 4-up, the attacking unit suffers a mortal wound. Basically, you roll a d6 for every attack the opponent makes into you. Not every hit, just every attack they make. And for every 4-up you roll, you do a mortal back. You cap at 6 dice. What's kind of interesting, it's a free grenade back. And it's cute that these guys are deadly demise 1. So if they do die, they might pop off a little extra mortal wound somewhere too. So that's it. They do have a scout move, which is handy. Their scout 6 inches, plus they have an 8-inch base move, so they can get around there. I'm going to try to use them to put things in into affliction early in the game if I need to. If I need the Blight Lords to be able to shoot something, I can use them to put that thing in contagion affliction, so that their shooting will be better. The improved strength and AP. They do have some attacks, but they're really inconsistent because each one gets d6 plus 2 attacks. They hit on 4s, strength 5, AP 1, 2 damage. So really, I'm just going to use them for scoring some maybe primaries and secondaries and for putting something into affliction. Next, Death Shrouds. We got one 6-man break of Death Shrouds. I did play with these guys last week. They're still really good. They don't have their neg-1 to wound anymore, but they did go up to toughness 7 and up to 4 wounds apiece, making them kind of hard to chew through. They do have their new special rule is that they can deep strike just outside of 6 inches of anything that's afflicted, still 9 inches for things that are not afflicted. Another reason I want those... another reason I want the spawn out there, putting things into affliction so these guys can get their deep strike. Their shooting attack is they have a D6 flamer. It's anti-infantry 4 up and no AP here, but it does ignore cover. And with the armor debuffs that the contagion can give us, it can make them kind of effective, at least as an Overwatch threat. Or those things are pistols as well. So if DJ does blood surge into them, they can still fire their pistols into them in engagement range. And of course, they smack really hard in combat. Their melee weapons, the strike is 4 attacks, strength 8, AP 2 damage. Their sweep is strength 8 attacks, strength 4, AP 1 damage. Both have lethal hits, so they both have the ability to put out a fair amount of damage. And then finally, we have 3 squads of Poxwalkers, 3 10-mans of Poxwalkers. In this detachment, they got sticky, so of course you're going to take 3. You're going to infiltrate them because that's what they do, and then they're going to sticky all the objectives. This would be a lot more relevant against the gunline army, but against world leaders, it's probably not going to matter a whole lot because the world leaders are just going to push right up the table and take those sticky objectives away from me. But at least it'll force my opponent to get out there and be on those objectives and get close to me, which is what I want if they want to shut off the sticky objectives, take those away from me. That is it, guys. That is the list. All right, so I got my book. We're going to read through all these. Not every single thing in here, but just going to look at the enhancements I'm using today. Revolting Regeneration gives a character a 5-up field no pain. Really good, but really, really good when you throw that on a toughness 12, 10 wound Demon Prince. Now he's going to get 5-up field no pain. He's going to be hard to kill. I hope he's going to be hard to kill. I know world leaders are going to try to put a lot of attacks into him, but hopefully that high toughness combined with a 2-up, 4-up, and the 5-up field no pain is going to keep him around for a while. Then I do have Arch Contaminator. This one is really good. The enhancement just gives this character's unit just wound rerolls all the time, shooting and fighting, if they're on an objective that they control. So I'm going to put that on Death Shroud. So hopefully they'll be able to control an objective and really take advantage of that. There are a couple of other ones that are kind of nice for combat, but I just didn't quite have the points in there. So then bring those along. As far as strats, Putrid Detonation, guys. For 1 CP, when a unit is destroyed, I can automatically trigger Deadly Demise, and Mortarion is Deadly Demise D6. So he may be hard to kill, but when he does die, if he's kind of in the middle of DJ's army, I can blow him up. Just explode. He does mortal wounds in his movement phase, so if you combine his mortal wounds in his movement phase with a Deadly Demise, that can do a fair amount of damage if there are several units within 6 inches of him. So you got that. We've got Disgustingly Resilient. Disgustingly Resilient is an ability that's been around for a long time in different forms. In this codex, it takes the form of damage reduction. Shooting or fighting phase. Obviously, that's super strong. It reduces damage by 1, so 2 damage becomes 1, 3 damage becomes 2. Terminator units, that's especially strong because we got some 3 wounds on the Blight Lords and 4 wounds on the Death Shrouds. Man, if you're attacking Death Shroud Terminators with the 2 damage attacks, it's really hard to pick up those Terminators when you need 4 of those attacks to go through to pick one up. Now, of course, this is a super strong strat, so it is 2 CP. That's why we have the 2 Tallyman in the list, and we've got the Demon Prince to make sure we can use this when we need it. Because, again, like it says, you can use this in shooting or fighting. So in both places you can use it. We also have Plague Surge. This is another 2 CP one. It just extends the contagion range of all models in the army by 3 inches. That can be kind of cool, especially when you're trying to put things in contagion for the shooting from the Blight Lords and for the deep strikes from the Death Shroud. But 2 CP is also expensive. Again, got to make sure we're managing our CP well here. For 1 CP, we have Leech Spore Eruption. I hope to be able to use this today. Basically, you have one of your units, a Death Guard model in your army, just a single model, not a unit. That's lost 1 or more wounds. Then you roll a D6 for every wound that he has lost. And you can only use this against an enemy unit that's within 3 inches, so they got to be close. But you roll a D6 for every wound that he's lost, and for every 5-up, you do a mortal to that enemy unit, and you actually take that mortal and slurp it up out of the enemy unit and give it to that model. So for the most part, we could be using this on the Demon Prince. We could use it on smaller characters. It's not as consistent, but they do have 6 wounds on the Terminator characters. So they might be able to use it. And of course, on Mortarion. This is super handy for a couple of reasons. Obviously, it does damage to your opponent and doing mortal wounds to them. It gives you wounds back. So on a very durable model like Mortarion or the Demon Prince. But the other thing it does is you do this in your command phase. So I played in a tournament this past weekend, and someone used this on me. I had a Judicar from my Death Watch in engagement range with Mortarion at the start of the turn, and Mortarion, I was able to finish him off with these mortals. That means it freed up Mortarion to move around. He was no longer stuck in combat. He didn't have to fall back or anything. So obviously it does damage. It heals your model. But if you've got a unit with a couple wounds and engagement range with your unit that you're using this on, it actually frees that model up too, because this happens in your command phase. So that's really strong there as well. Overwhelming Generosity. Oh yeah, this one, I'm not going to be using this today, but for 1 CP, you pick an enemy model and all randomized shots that go in, random number of shots that go, I can reroll that random number of shots. If you have a bunch of the Blight Launchers or the Defilers, this would be great for that. And then the last one is Creeping Blight. 1 CP, in your shooting phase, a unit that shoots something gets full rerolls to hit and wound, as long as that target is in affliction, is in contagion range. Full rerolls to hit and wound is really strong. That's why we've got a 10-man brick of the Blight Lords, not 2 5-mans, because we want to use this strat on them to give them full rerolls to hit and wound. Obviously, they're +1 strength and +1 AP when they're shooting an afflicted unit. Combine that with the armor reduction from the contagions. These guys can do a lot of work. Even to something like a toughness 10 tank, when you reduce their toughness down to 9, and then you increase the bolters to strength 5, so now they're wounding on 5s, so full rerolls to wound. AP 1, if it's going to do some damage. If you reduce their armor through the contagion and you get the extra AP, your bolters are going to do work in even the toughness 10 stuff when they're going to wounding on 5s and full rerolls to wound. So we'll see how that plays out today. Hope to use that just to chew through some squads of Berserkers, or if I need to, just blast a Rhino off the table with bolters. Of course, I do have Blight Launchers and the auto cannons in there too, so they'll contribute to that. They all benefit from that ability, but we won't use that today. So those are all the things. Really focused on those Death Shrouds and the Blight Lords. The Predator gives the extra AP into a unit, and the nice thing about the Death Shrouds is that their guns are pistols. So like I said, there's going to be a lot of Blood Surge moves going on right now with this army, but Death Shroud Terminators, they're shooting flamers are pistols, so they can still shoot those when they're engagement range. So even if I shoot, say, some Berserks with the Predator and get the extra AP in them, and even if they Blood Surge into the Death Shrouds can still shoot in engagement range, and they'll benefit from that extra AP and do a lot of work there. So we'll see if that comes up today. And of course, I just want to see how much value I get out of Morty and the Demon Prince. It's a lot of points on the table here. As you can see, just looking at the pictures of the list, it's not a big army. I've got a couple big hitting units here and a few utility units there, but it's not, I don't have a ton of assets here, so if things do die quickly, it's going to be a problem for me. But I hope the combination of the durability and the damage output is going to save the day. So follow me over to the battle. Let's see how the Death Guard and the Virulent Vectorium do.